Welcome back, everyone. Rewatchers Council Angel Edition. Boy, oh boy, boy, am I glad that they had decided to do a, a villain of the week thing on this show instead of having one common thread of a big bad. But
Hmm.
it sure worked out well. Just look at some of these terrific episodes we've had. But we're going to get into sense and sensitivity this week. Both you and I have said this title wrong today. It doesn't seem like it's too hard of a thing to say. Sense and
Yeah.
sensitivity.
What is it?
It sounds like it almost sounds more like a toothpaste. Sense and
Yeah.
sensitivity. It would be a good toothpaste brand.
It sounds like a Nora Ephron movie.
Well, yeah. Well, there's the whole sensibility, that whole tie in
Yeah.
there with the
S-
ladies and
Sense
18th,
and sensitivity.
England.
There it
Yeah.
is.
Sense and sensitivity. I just said it wrong again. Okay, we're not
Mhm.
even going to bother with it anymore. We're going to talk about when this program originally came out, Ferris. Originally, in November 9th, 1999. Do you know what show directly preceded it? For goodness sakes, it was
Angel Buffy?
it was Wild at the Buffy episode, Wild at Heart.
Yes.
We
Yes.
recently talked about. If you've seen yesterday's Rewatchers Council Buffy edition, you know that I feel it's one of the toughest Buffy episodes to watch.
Oh, what a gut wrencher.
Heartbreaking. Tough. It's tough. Hate that episode. It's an
Hmm.
important thing to watch, though. Now, this one's written by Tim Minear. I believe he only writes two uh, Angel episodes. This one, I believe he writes Somnambulist. If you've noticed something, Somnambulist was actually written first, aired second after this. That's
Wait,
how,
did you Rob, did you say Tim Minear?
yeah,
The co-creator of 911
there you go.
and 911 Lone Star.
I believe we talked about on Beer Bad and how I view that. Yeah. Now we got this.
Uh, oh god, this is where he was unleashed on into the world.
Ugh, he was already fully leashed from the
Oh.
world before this. Now, it's directed by James N. Contner, so at least there was a steady hand at the helm of this episode. But oh, well, we'll get into the guest stars first here. First, John Cafidis as Little Tony. I'm going to remember him most from Ace Ventura. You know what I mean? I believe he's in
Mhm.
a whole a character actor. He's been in too many things. John,
He's oh, I know that guy.
yeah, exactly. Character actors. The best character actors always. I know that guy.
Mhm.
John Mann was Kate's dad. Trevor Lockley. Uh, Armageddon. L.A. Confidential. You remember that? But he was
Mm.
also in some TV shows from when I was a kid growing up, like just guest appearances. But Hunter, which was great. I don't know if you've ever seen Hunter, but it had Fred Dwyer in it. Ferris, former linebacker for the Los Angeles Rams. Fred Dwyer. It works for me. It was a great 80s cop show. Also, Knight Rider. I'm sure you've heard of that one
Yes.
before. At some point, he was on that one. But, like the one that turns out to be the big guest star, and this one was just a bit part for a guy who'd, in a couple of months, become much more popular, and that's Steve Sharippa. Uh, a few months from this, he would land a role on a new HBO show that was about to come out. Ever since then, he'll be known as Bobby from The Sopranos,
I'll be
but
bacala.
Bacala. So he's he's more of a brand, almost just as Steve Sharippa nowadays. He's on so many other shows and guest appearances, but also just as himself. He's also a best-selling author. I believe he's written two
Big podcast host.
podcast host.
Him
Shows
and
up on Beat Bobby Flay all the
yeah,
time.
I
So
believe the podcast he does is with Christopher Molasanti. His real name is Michael Impioli.
Imperioli.
Yeah,
Michael Imperioli.
him and Sharippa got a Sopranos podcast. By the way, Steve Sharippa also Investigator Anthony Abademarco on Blue Bloods.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
you know him from Blue Buds as well.
I know him from The Sopranos, Rob. So calm down. Yeah. I was
I had
very
to,
happy when he
I had to
showed up on
sink.
Blue
I had
Bloods.
to sink to your 911 level.
Hey, Blue
Yeah,
Buds is high quality television, my good sir. You know how I know that? Tom Selleck is in it.
I was going to say Great Magnum's Ghost. What they've
Yes.
done to Tom Selleck these days. Gee whiz.
Nothing. He's still an icon.
Yeah, he break the fourth wall and give us all the eyebrows up when something seemingly naughty is about to happen.
No, he also does not wear his shorts.
No, oh, Hawaiian
Or
shirts.
yeah, or
I'm
have
gonna.
his red Ferrari.
I'll get into the Hawaiian shirts in a goddamn minute about this thing.
Mm.
Anyways, do a quick summary of the show here if I can. Now the episode is going to deal with Kate being a little mean on the job.
Hmm.
Turns out she's got a bad attitude. She's also, we find out, has and some incredible daddy issues, but you can't really blame her for, if you know what I mean. Now, this person that they're trying to get, this little Tony guy,
Hmm.
says he's going to put a hit out on her for whatever reason. Uh, I'll have a question about that when I just bring up some questions here at the end of the summary. Anyways, Wolfram and Hart somehow have a guy on retainer that counsels people in sensitivity training, but his talking stick makes people's feelings come to the surface all the time. You know what I mean? It's basically it's the GOP's biggest nightmare when
Hmm.
everybody just shares their feelings out in public, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, this is like for the anti woke. This is not the episode for you. Kate's a emotionally distant and slash emotionally abusive dad is having a retirement party, and this is where we see everything starting to come to the surface. All the people's feelings. There's fights breaking out. You know that something isn't going right with all this. When she's asked to speak, she brings up some incredibly damaging stuff
Hmm.
that he said when she was a child and her mother died, saying how there's no better place that she went to. She couldn't even tell his daughter a beautiful lie, for God's sakes. And then she starts also talking about how her friend's mom was there for her. She was soft, and she smelled like mac and cheese. Ferris, is that a good quality to have? The scent of KD,
No, and I also should know this beforehand because I used to tell my cousin she smelled like cheese.
like mac and cheese, though.
No,
Like,
just cheese.
oh
With
my
me, it
god,
was just cheese. I'd be like, "You smell like cheese."
oh
She'd be like,
boy,
she'd be like, "What?" I would mess with her.
that's a terrible thing to say to somebody.
Yeah, I know.
At least mac and cheese could be fun.
I wasn't a good person when I was a kid.
Anyways, Angel's gonna track down Stick Boy. They get in a fight, but the the magic talking stick starts to work its mojo on him a little.
Hmm.
He gets a little, you know, he gets a little emotional. He's giving
Hmm.
hugs and stuff like that. This isn't the emotionally distant Angel
It all
we've
started with
we've come to
Cordelia
know.
calling him out for being inconsiderate,
Yep, it's always gonna
and now he's
come
now he's
Teresa
too
to be. That was
now he's
too
too
considerate.
considerate, and she hates it.
Yep. The gang all goes to the precinct. They bust in. Everybody's being soft. Now, all the prisoners
Are they
have,
out?
have gotten out. Somehow have gotten into where the gun lockup is,
Makes
have
sense.
loaded up with
Shotguns and assault rifles.
shotguns, etc. But good thing, even though Angel's feeling, a little touchy feely
Hmm.
these days, from the heart, anyways, he still knows how to whip some ass. So he just ends up beating these guys. They save the day here, Ferris. Now, afterwards, the powers wear off. Everything seems to settle down. You get
Hmm.
to see Kate's dad come back in and figure, oh, we're gonna get a nice little hug moment here. Everything's
Hmm.
gonna be fine. No, no, no. That sensitivity crap did nothing for him. He's still one complete asshole.
You know what? And I like that because enough with this redemption stuff. Some people are just bad people, and
This
he's
man
not a good person.
not redeemed. So
No, not what I. Every time I see that, I'm like, I always find that a fresh breath of air, because in these shows, or was it fresh breath of air or
breath of
what,
fresh air.
breath of fresh air? My bad,
Yep.
sorry.
Sensitivity.
Yeah, I enjoy it because you would assume they're gonna, everyone, anti-hero redemption. They're
Yeah.
like, no, he's still an ass.
This guy is a prick.
Yes.
That's the nicest thing I can say about the guy. So, few questions for you here concerning the episode, because the thing is not wasn't very enthralling at all. Now, first, why did they make these mobsters New Yorkers? What would
Because
this is
no,
Los
they no,
Angeles? They have lots of people they could do. Why go New York for this?
no, because they're no mafia members are people. This is the thing people forget about this, right? So a lot, people assume like every mobster was in New York, right? No, actually, mobsters were sent to Chicago and Kansas City
Well,
to run those,
Don't forget Vegas.
and Vegas as well. So they probably also sent some people to LA as well. So it makes sense. It
Sure,
makes sense.
but I think that there's plenty of shows that cover like New York style mobsters, as we will find out in a year when The Sopranos airs. But
Hmm.
why not just have other
That's New
type of
Jersey.
monsters? Sorry, my bad. Why wouldn't they have just some other set? Like Barry does it well. You get mobsters from all areas of
Yeah, isn't NoHo Hank
the world.
Albanian?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
You could, no, you could do that. I'm with you. I don't disagree.
Yeah,
But this was the 90s and there's only one type of mobster.
that's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Now, next. Why would Angel have a Hawaiian shirt and that ridiculous hat in his car?
I think he uses that on his mood board.
On his mood board.
Yeah, because he's a vampire.
Yeah.
And when do you wear that hat and that shirt out in the sun in Hawaii? And what can't he do? He can't go out in the sun in Hawaii. So he uses the shirt and the hat as visual stimulation of his mind.
Do you think, when the other two aren't around, when Cordy's not around, Doyle's not around,
Yes.
do you think he dresses up in this stuff and
Yes.
pretends he's a regular boy?
Yes.
Put some board shorts on?
And then he like turns on like a big old light,
Yeah.
and
With,
be like, I'm
gets
walking
one of
down.
those plastic lawn chairs,
Yeah, it's like
the
I'm
sunglasses.
walking. Yeah, I'm walking here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do all that
He's
jazz.
got a secret stash under his bed, not of
Hmm.
porn,
Yeah,
but of summer clothes.
exactly. Yes,
Okay, I'm
yes,
here for it.
yes, yes. Shorts. Yes, slippers, flip flops.
Yep.
He wants to feel like a regular boy, like you said.
I like the flip flop
Yeah,
idea.
yeah,
Let's see Angel wear that. Well, you'll have an opportunity at some point coming up in the show. Now, you think this episode is designed just to make fun of sensitive people? Are they? Is he being some kind of ally of sensitive people? I don't care. I don't know what he's going for with the sensitivity here. Does he think these people are weak? I'm talking
yeah.
about your buddy Manir. He's going after, like, this is what happens if you're too sensitive.
No, because in the end they did kill and beat up the guys.
It took
You
a
know,
it took a superhuman guy to do it, though.
I know, but it was because it was a distraction. But
Right.
she still pulled out her gun and shot him.
Yeah.
You know, I just think he's trying to be like, look what happens when the cops are kind of like, it was kind of like some propaganda. Be like, you need the cops to be a little rough
Mm-hmm.
and rugged, you know,
Sure.
and lack like some sort of compassion. So yeah, well, I'm also talking about the man who decided to write an episode about a bee tornado. So I don't have too much too
That
much
show,
stuff for him.
those shows.
Yes.
Oh, how can you watch it? Anyways, moving on.
Hmm.
Uh, does Kate ever use violence against Tony when she's arresting him? He has his
Um,
lawyers coming up and stuff like that. All she did was put the cuffs on him. She never like punched him or anything, did she?
no. Oh, then she did.
What's the lawyer going on about? That's yeah.
Yeah, it was
I
just
thought that.
lawyer. It was just lawyer talk bullshit.
Yeah, but all of them were scared about it and like, oh, got to have sensitivity training for Kate, who didn't
Hmm.
do anything. Didn't do anything. Anyways,
She's also, a woman on the force, so they're probably like she's too emotional.
that's true.
It's
But
probably her.
they make everybody go to it. Everybody but
Mhm.
her dad.
Well, her
Her
dad
dad,
was retiring.
her dad didn't have to go to it. He probably needed it the most, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
Now, now that okay, Angel, Kate been around each other a couple of times. Why does it seem like he's allowing Kate to get so close to him? You'd think he'd know better
Yeah.
at 250 something years old.
And after what happened with Buffy, with the true love,
Yep,
for a
yep.
moment of happiness.
One moment of true happiness.
Yes.
It can all come tumbling down here first. Why does he keep playing with fire? You know what I mean? When he's a vampire, it's not good for him.
Hey man, because at the end of the day, man, we're all looking for love. We're all looking for
But
love. But
he's the one guy who shouldn't be. He's the
I
one
know,
guy who
but
can't.
human nature, man, it prevents us from truly love. Makes people do unpredictable things. Like Spike is always in love, and he's a
Yep,
vampire.
yep. But
You
he isn't
know?
going to turn into a real boy or something like that. He's
No, he's
always
not.
evil.
But exactly, but still, you yearn for the compassion of one another.
Oh, that's lovely. What a
Yes.
lovely thing to say. Ferris Mathana's line of romantic cards coming soon. So let's get
I
ready.
am I am a raconteur.
Oh, that's nice. So now that Kate's exposed Doyle's little crush here, and
Hmm.
somehow Cordelia can see. Do you think she's going to start treating him any different? Do you think maybe treat him at an arm's length? Do you think
Yes.
maybe she? You think maybe
Because
she
because she likes him as well because she was the first person to react.
just said no, no, he doesn't. Like
Hmm.
high school style things. Okay, we'll see. Now, the last thing I, the last thing I wrote about for a question was just when when Angel's fighting Stick Boy and he vamps up the guy saying, "You want to know?" He says, "You want to know about my?" They tasted like chicken. It's almost like he's about it. This is supposed to be
Yeah,
Soul,
that threw me
Soul
off.
Angel.
That
You
was
know
that
that
threw me off.
that was an Angelus quote,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
he must have hated his parents while he still had a soul.
They tasted like chicken.
Yeah.
I wonder if human beings all taste a little different.
Yes.
I wonder if some taste just
I
like a
taste like
potato
I
or something.
taste I taste like goat.
I think your cousin or whatever might taste like cheese from the
Yes.
smell of her. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Hmm.
Ferris, that's enough of Sense and Sensitivity. So what do
Fun
you think?
fact: she's actually happily married.
what uh what do you think I should be more sense and sensitivity?
Oh,
Do you
okay, that's what you meant. I thought you said happily married. That threw me off for a minute.
think
Yeah, sure, Rob, you good.
you think so? You think I should bring some more of my deepest emotions
Sure.
up here on the program?
Yeah, why not?
That's not going to happen. I'll be more like
Okay.
Kate. Probably be more like Kate's dad than anything else.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Except for the damaging part to his own kid.
Yes.
What an asshole. Worst monster they've had on the show
You know
so
what? I
far.
agree.
Garbage.
He's the real villain of the week.
Terrible. He's a terrible
Terrible
human being.
human.
Now, Ferris, for goodness sakes, we've talked enough about the episode. How about you tell us what's going on in LGRN land?
All right, yeah, guys. If you're watching this, yesterday, our Buffy the OG version dropped. So make sure to go like and subscribe over there. And then tomorrow, our MCU version of Rewatchers Council Thor is coming out, and me and Justin, possibly Matt, and some others may join us. We'll be on that one as well. And then Friday tomorrow, uh, Good Friends Better Rivals live at 3. Yeah.
No LGRN after Snark this week. Gonna take a week off. Get a weekend off here, Ferris, for goodness sakes. Maybe do
Mm-hmm.
some relaxing. You know what I mean? I'll probably just end up working on more shows. But
Yes.
next time on Rewatchers Council Angel Edition, We'll be talking about the bachelor party. Turns out, old Doyle used to be married,
Mm-hmm.
and I think more to the point, may still be married, but his ex-wife wants to move on. We're gonna find out a little bit more about that the next episode. Guys, join us for that next week. Also, next week on Rewatch Cancel Buffy, we'll be talking about the initiative where Buffy gets to the bottom of those soldier boys.
Mm-hmm.
And what else is happening? Starting 11 this coming Tuesday, the final episode of the 24-25 season. We'll finally find out when where everybody's going to go in Europe. There could be up to 10 Premier League teams playing in Europe next week or
I
next
really
year,
hope. I
which
really
is
hope not.
bananas.
I'm very upset that Nottingham Forest is not in the driver's seat for Champions League because I really want them to get Champions League.
I do not, because they have to beat Chelsea to do it. It's either Chelsea or them at this point,
Well, well,
or some
well.
weird math, or some extremely weird math has to happen
What
for.
what if Newcastle also loses?
Well, if Newcastle also loses, they'll be in, but Chelsea won't make the Champions League. City, uh, we're assuming are going to win their next two matches. We'll find out what happens with them. It's just a mess. It's a mess,
It's a
and
mess,
one
but it's a
and
glorious
one
mess.
of Manchester United or Tottenham will be in the Champions League next year as Europa League champs. They're the two bottom clubs not being relegated. It is an embarrassment. An embarrassment. Both
To
those
be
clubs.
quite honest with you, man, I am very upset at Leicester City, Southampton, and Ipswich Town because if they were a modicum of good, just a little bit, Manchester United and Tottenham could have been relegated this year.
There were high hopes for Ipswich. Leicester coming in having won the league, but they lose their coach. I wonder where he went.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was a tough sled for them. All these guys, these bottom three teams or whatever, seem to yo-yo back and forth between the
Mhm.
championship. It's going to be taking something pretty phenomenal to change that. We'll see what happens next
Or
year,
like
starting
Serie
11.
A.
Yeah, I guess so, except much better. Now,
It is
we've
because
also
Como, the team that was promoted last year, Como, which with Cesc Fabregas, London soccer legend,
yeah,
he's 10th.
I was going to say Champions League winner with a certain London
Uh,
club.
you know what? We don't got to bring that up. We can also bring up, but he was multiple time FA Cup champion. One time Premier League champion with another club. But sure.
Yeah, sure, that's what he goes to bed thinking about. Now, uh, so that's the final episode of Starting 11, coming on Tuesday. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on Angel. Till next time, in the words of Kate Lockley, who are you again? We'll see you next week.